everyone, this is Kevin Schreiber from Downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. Hope you all are doing very well. Thanks as always for watching. I want to talk to you today about a concept in dog training, dog management, animal psychology, and the concept is the relationship between managing versus training. And a lot of people mess these up when they're trying to work with their dog and when they're trying to get advice from a trainer or any individual. When you have a dog, you can manage any situation with your dog. There is not a single situation you cannot manage, whether it be through your actions, the tools you use for your dog, or managing others in the situation. So if you have a dog that's acting in a particular way, you can manage that situation and manage the dog, control the dog basically, so that you can basically be guaranteed of a result. That is, the managing can be cumbersome long term. If the dog has a lot of energy, very distracted, easily ramped up in hyper, gets very hyper very quickly and takes actions, whether it uses their mouth or barks or jumps on people, gets very excited by situations. If that's the case, basically the dog could hurt somebody. So we want to avoid that. You can manage that all the time. The challenge with managing is, again, depending on the severity of the dog, you could be required to manage a lot for a long time. The challenge with managing or attempting to always manage a dog is, again, depending on the severity of its attention or its lack of attention, you could be required to manage the dog all the time. And if that's the case, it's akin, for some of you, it's akin to having like a special needs child where you must watch it all the time, or an infant child, a very codependent child. You have to watch it all of the time. You don't get a break. While it's very easy to follow through on paying attention to a dog on the short term like that, if you had to manage it all the time, 24 hours a day, it becomes very draining. So that's where training comes in. Training is the concept where you are actually having a process to get the dog's attention, and so you use technologies and technology, and I don't mean technologies like a software, an app, but you basically use the tools to get it to pay attention to you. Typically, when you are managing the dog, you are not asking it to pay attention, you are not asking it to do something. With training, you are basically asking the dog to pay attention to you, so that the first thing the dog does is pay attention to you, and then you give the dog direction. So if your dog is not paying attention to you at all and just doing what it wants to do, training could help that. Now you can, again, manage and control the dog. Training is the idea where you actually get the dog to pay attention to you. Now, as you can probably imagine, you don't get to have rarely is the situation where the dog is, I always call it 100% trained so that you never have to manage it. That's pretty much not true. Every dog has their own personality and they do their own things and they have their own triggers. They are obviously wild animals with their own personality. We allow them into our house. So therefore you will have some percentage of management. If you have, for example, you can have 100% management and 0% training, so 0% of your dog is trained. That 100% management is very draining. That's kind of the 24-hour, on call. Your dog is dependent on you all the time for it to be safe and keep the world safe. And then 100% training doesn't even exist. 100% training and 0% management, that's where you've done some training, you train the dog, and then you never have to manage it ever again. That doesn't exist. So you have to find the blend of management and training that fits your lifestyle and your schedule. So for example, our dogs are very well trained. However, we do have certain things that they do that we have to manage throughout the day. For example, one of our dogs, Chase, is very, very friendly. He is trained very well off leash, as well as if we're asking him to pay attention. However, he has a very weak bladder. He needs to go to the bathroom every 3 or 4 hours, every 5 hours. He can sleep overnight, but first thing in the morning, we've got to get him out. Also, anything that gets him excited, he has to go pee. He's got some physical challenges, some kidney challenges, and kidney failure. and it causes him to have a very weak bladder, in addition to him already having a weak bladder to begin with. So guess what? We can't train that out of him to say, hey, we're going to work on holding his bladder or extending whatever for him. He just has to go. He gets excited. A guy came to our house the other day and was knocking on the door. I was in the bathroom when the guy knocked. Chase got really excited, super sweet. He ended up peeing all over the house. I just let him out, an hour before that, but he got excited. He had to go pee, couldn't hold it. Guess what? Pee in the house, I gotta clean it up. We have to manage that. So when someone comes to the door, we typically let him outside. We can't train him out of that, so we have to manage that. We have another dog that is a resource guarder. And so what a resource guarding dog does is they will defend their food, hide their food, growl at other dogs. Really, it's something very difficult to train out of, and you won't train out of because that's their personality. So guess what? We have to watch him with other dogs and food. We don't leave him alone with other dogs and food. He's friendly. As long as we're there, he understands his place and his role as to not be the aggressor. But we have to watch that. We're not going to be able to train that out 100%. So understand that training does not become a 100% cure-all. You still have to manage your dog. You have to decide if you want to have a dog that you have to manage all the time versus if you add some training in, you can actually turn the tide a little bit and give the dog some freedom as well as buy yourself some freedom so that you can manage the things that are easily manageable or the things that you aren't able to train out of the dog. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks as always for watching. This is Kevin Shriver from Downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. Have a great rest of the day.